Cam made this beat.
IE Preps fans, I have an important message. We have an interview today, and I hope it can raise some spirits of everyone. Temecula Valley head football coach Bert Esposito. How you doing today, Coach?
Good, doing well.
Well, Coach, we didn't get a chance to talk to you immediately at the end of the season, but as fate would have it, we have the time now. We're going to talk a little bit about how you arrived at Temecula Valley and the program, and then your championship run, the season you guys just had this year. So, without any further ado, the first question I have for you is, when did you first start coaching high school football and where?
Well, I went to a high school in Orange County called Meldyland High School, believe it or not, and we were located literally across the street from Disneyland. And I was actually going to go to Esperanza High School because I was living in Yorba Linda. And the day I was supposed to go there as a sophomore, I ended up at Meldyland, which eventually turned into Southern Cal Christian, which no longer exists. And so I played there. And when I got done playing, I tried to play in college. I went to Santa Ana College, working out with them and everything. And I started to realize I was a quarterback. So I'm not 6'4", 6'5", and all these guys were big dudes. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I could play at this level, you know? And so then I went to the defensive side, and I kind of like that. But honestly, I got the coaching bug. And so back in 1983, 84, because I graduated in 82, my head football coach at the time, Dave DeWoody, who's a legend in 8-man football in Riverside County, and he asked me to be the head JV coach, and I was like 18 years old, 19 years old. And I said, sure. And it was a way for me to stay in coaching and knowing that I couldn't play at the next level. I just wasn't big enough. I was good at everything, but I wasn't great at anything. And so I took it on. And so I've been coaching high school, multiple sports, since 1983. And one thing led to another. And, you know, I kind of figured out, you know, how to grow and move on and did the steps it took. A lot of people ask me, you know, what did you do? And it's a long story, but you know, little by little, you just start. I started coaching positions that normally wouldn't coach because I knew someday I wanted to be a head coach, and I figured if I'm going to be a head coach, I got to know everything. So, you know, I would coach the holders, I would coach the snappers, I would go to different jobs and just tell the head coach, hey, I'll do anything, and I would look for things to go learn about and coach, and eventually, when I was 26, my first opportunity to be a head coach was offered to me at the high school that I actually played at, and that first year we won CIF. Yeah.
Well, that's how you started off.
Yeah.
That's the best way to start it
Well,
off.
the funny part about that is I thought, oh, this is easy. And it took me 28 years to win it again.
Wow, that's amazing. I never knew that.
Yeah.
First year out, boom. What's
First year
next?
out,
All right.
26 years
So,
old.
so Coach,
Yep.
what year was it you guys won the championship? That first
Uh,
year?
the first year was 1991.
91. Okay.
Yeah.
So, as fate would have it, you were in a position where you had opportunity and options, as I like to say. You had opportunity to get a fresh start, and you had options because you had different places you were looking at. Can you tell us what in particular made you kind of give the final decision that you were going to take over the Temecula Valley program, and what did the program look like? Not necessarily in a bad way, but just kind of what was in the what was still on the shelves when you got there.
Sure. Well, when I got the call of interest, when Coach Dykes called me up, I was already the quarterback coach at Chaparral. So it was after what happened to me at Paloma. and I wasn't sure if I wanted to coach anymore. Things like that happen. And you're just like, wow, it came out of nowhere for me. And so you want to turn a bad situation into a good one. So I was just going to go around from place to place and and I had already reached out to a ton of coaches about going and observing other programs because I had never been able to do that. I'd been coaching forever. And so I had that all set up. Then I went and coached quarterbacks at Chaparral. And right when the season was starting, Coach Dykes called me and said, "Hey, what's your interest? Here you're a successful coach, and you're sitting around. We need to get you over here." So, it was kind of weird because I'm at Chaparral. I'm putting my heart and soul there, and I knew that their biggest rivalry and hated rival was Temecula, and I was being kind of courted for that. But because I was Linfield's coach 20 something years ago, I had always had a connection with Temecula Valley and Bud Kane, and we'd been friends and competitors in some level. Never really played on the field till I went to Rancho Verde. But opportunity came, and I started looking at Temecula, and I was like, I've done this so many times before. I go to a program that's just been beaten down, 0-10, whatever. Ramona, La Sierra one year, Paloma Valley. And so I go into these programs, and for some reason, I think it's just the challenge of taking it over. A lot of people telling me, "Oh, it's a career killer." I looked at it the other way. I said, it's a career maker, because I had a lot of confidence in myself that I could do the right things to change programs around. And this is my fifth one. And so the opportunity, it's 3 miles from my house. So all these things came into play. And I always wanted to compete in the Southwest League because as a competitor, as a coach, you want to compete in the highest level. Some guys they may be happy with competing in that low level and just winning a lot of games. I wanted to play at the highest level, and myself and Coach Marita, my OC, we worked together at Paloma, so we always talked about that, having the dudes and playing and competing, and maybe someday playing a modern day kind of thing, but you got to work your way up to that. And so when the Temecula job came open, to me, it was a no-brainer.
Wow. And shout out to Coach Greta. He's another phenomenal coach, very, high character gentleman as well. I got a chance to meet him. And so, man, that's awesome that I not to say that, it's something bad about going to a team has a just dominant history of winning, but I do too like it when I get to see people kind of build things.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely what you've done. You've created a track record of really building things up. Yeah. And so now that's great. So, Coach, I'm gonna.
I'm not hearing you.
Sorry, Coach. I'm gonna skip around a little bit with the questions, just so we can keep the flow.
Real quick, I didn't answer that part about what did I see at Temecula when I got there.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because I remember the first day I met the kids, and I'll never forget it. I've done this many times, so you always want to see where are those kids at. And I remember getting in the weight room and watching them all, and I could just see the insecurity in all their faces. I was like, they're thinking, here's this guy telling us what we've heard every year, believe in me, we're going to do this and this and that. And I really connected with that. And I told them from the first point, I said, I know you guys have heard this before. 2 years in a row, you've had 2 different coaches. I'm the third one. And I said, I'm going to have to earn your trust. And this is what we're going to do. And this is what's going to happen. And I was very adamant about, we do this, this will happen. And I laid it out for them. And all I asked them to do was just trust and believe the process, and everything's going to work out. And then to see it happen and to see these kids change from beaten down, I knew they weren't losers because they were just, coach, just show us what to do and we'll do it. And that mentality came through, immediately. And Yeah, they were a phenomenal. This senior class that just graduated with a phenomenal group of kids to trust in their third coach and to be able to just no questions asked. We'll do whatever you ask, and they did, and the rest is history.
Wow, and that's a great backstory. When you take over a program, you're not just, what it looks like it's a clean slate. Sometimes you're dealing with the emotional
Yes.
issues or baggage per se of athletes who maybe, they've kind of had people come back and forth in the program. So that's a different storyline I hadn't even thought about, is how you were able to do that. And you spoke about the Southwestern League. For those who don't know, they had, in the past few years, they had a gentleman by the name of Hank Bachmeyer, who's just ripping it as a freshman at Boise State. They have Vista Marietta, uh, so Marietta Valley, Vista Marietta, Chaparral. It's a ton of teams in the Southwest that are extremely good. They have a lot of players go to college, and so I can see the psyche of these young men. It's like, man, it's
Yeah,
getting
I
rough.
mean, just trying to. I told Lenny during the season, I said, do everything you can to not let these kids transfer out because I knew they were being pursued, and they were by other schools all over the place. And I said, do the best you can to keep them there. And if you can keep them there, we'll turn this thing around. We'll do it fast. And he did.
Yes, sir. And again, I don't know if the mic caught it, but Coach Reed is just a phenomenal
Yeah.
coach and high character man. He lives his life high character, and so it was great to see that he was coming in there with you. I knew you guys had a puncher's chance. Just you two being there alone, I knew something good was going to happen.
Well, so as a head coach, every head coach knows you need that right hand guy. And Coach Morita easily should have been the coach after me at Paloma, but for some reason they chose not to go that way. And he's obviously just a top class offensive coordinator and everything. The thing that he loves now is that I deal with all the problems and he doesn't, because he's my assistant head coach. I told him, I said, you need that title, and you're as much a head coach as I am. And so, he gets to do what he loves and pursues and calls the offense and all that. And he has 99.9% of the control I have. I've given that to him, and we work well together. And you find a guy like that you trust. And when he said he was going to come over with me, I knew right there. I go, we're going to turn this thing around really fast.
Absolutely. So, and he's talking about Coach Morita. I'm sorry, said his name before. Just a phenomenal coach, and excuse me, for a coach, for you, to have that much confidence in yourself, to let another coach on your staff have that type of power, says a lot about you as well. There are a lot of people in leadership, regardless of the profession, that they take that as it's kind of a intimidating thing, but you embraced it. And that's what real success and winning is, when you can empower others to be leaders. So great job, Coach.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm going to share my screen, and we're just going to kind of go over the 2019 season. And we're going to start with your first game of the season against on the road at Valley View. Your first game as head coach. What were your thoughts? How did your team play?
Okay. Well, this year, let's see, it was the year before was a different schedule. So this was my second year. So going into Valley View, after the first year, we went 6-6, and we
That's
really
right. That's right.
put
I'm
some
sorry.
confidence
Start
in.
fifth season. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Start
no
fifth
problem.
season.
That first year put a lot of confidence into the program and belief system, and the kids worked their tails off in the off season. And we had a bunch of goals, and we hit almost every single one of them. And so that builds credibility in your program, and the kids bought in. And so the second season, we're going up against Valley View, which was a long time rivalry with Temecula, 25 years ago, with Bud Kane and all those guys back then. And so we were like, okay, let's give them a shot. And 2 years previous to that, they were CIF champs, And so we're like, okay, we're ready for this. Let's go after it. And, I knew we had a great defense coming in this year. We had some really top quality players. And so, first game of the year, a lot of bugs going on, butterflies in our stomach. And we came out and really just shut them down. I mean, better than I thought we would. And the offense came around, and we knew we would have some problems with a new quarterback and new receivers and all that. But we came out there and we just punched them in the mouth and played a pretty good first game. So we were really excited about that one.
And that's a great way to start a season. Definitely is, that's just kind of relieves everything. Great defense, good offense. You kind of blow them out. Now, going down if you're coming from the north part of the Inland Empire, so let's say you're coming from Rancho. Once you start going down that 15, you have a lot of good, or going down 215,
yep.
Whichever way, there are a lot of sleeper programs that play great football, but people don't know about. Yeah. Elsinore is one of them. Can you talk to us about that game?
Yes. I mean, Elsinore, Coach Peralta and I go back all the way to the early 2000s when I was at Rancho Verde's first time I played them. And they run a unique double wing T offense like nobody else I've seen around. They're not a pure double wing. They're not a pure wing T. Coach Peralta does a phenomenal job getting the most out of his kids. They are just a system program, and year in and year out, it doesn't even matter what kind of talent they have. They are going to be good. They're going to be competitive. They're going to be hard hitting. And knowing that after playing against Elsinore all those years in the Sun Belt League and all that, you get to know your opponent very well. So I feel like I have a really good understanding of what Elsinore does. And so, we go into that game and we knew it was going to be a barn burner. And there's a big trophy the kids play for. And last year was the first time they had won that in who knows how many years. So, we wanted to keep that trophy. And so it's just a great rivalry. And Coach Peralta and I are great friends. And you know how it is. It's kind of like beating your brother. You just love competing against your best friend or your brother or whatever. I feel that way with Coach Peralta and Elsinore. And I knew it was going to be a barn burner game. And the score was not indicative of the game. It was actually a tighter game than that. They had a great running back, as always. And they did some good things. My nephew played for them. So it was kind of, bittersweet to play against my nephew, but man, I wish he was playing for me. So he did some good things. And so we come in that game and, it was one of those things where did we really turn the corner? Are we really the team that we needed to be to beat Elsinore 2 years in a row with Temecula would have been great. And we did. And we played solidly. We did what we needed to do. And again, the confidence level of the kids just really took off.
So we get down. You handily beat West Valley. So your first three games, you're averaging you're scoring over 40 points, solid defense. Then you run into Norte Vista, and this is a road game.
Yeah.
Tell us about that Norte Vista game.
Okay, so that again, Ken Badorf over there. We go way back to the Ramona days. I know everybody, so it's just kind of. I think I've played almost everybody. So Badorf and I are great competitors and great friends. We are on some boards together, and again, he is that traditional double wing offense, which I wanted to play them when I first got to Temecula. So I put them on the schedule, and the main reason was because of their physical play. I felt like our kids at Temecula needed to get toughened up. You play that double wing offense. It don't matter who you are. It is smash mouth. It really reveals the toughness of your team. And I felt, at least for the first 2 years at Temecula, we needed to play that type of a team. Even though we don't play anything like that later in the season, it just, where are we? And so we came out and we actually took the opening drive, drove it down. We looked good. And I got to give credit to Norte Vista's defense. There were more ankle tackles and open field one-on-one tackles in that game than we've ever experienced. Just when we thought we were going to break this thing open, their kids played lights out, did some great things. Our offense was kind of not doing what it should do because of Norte Vista's defense. We felt solid defensively. We were shutting down that offense, which is very tough to do, and we kept them out of the end zone. They scored one time, and then they scored on 2 field goals after that. But they had the lead with 2 minutes to go, and we still had confidence. Our kids, their heads started dropping, and I remember talking to them. We got the ball back with about a minute to go, and we're like, we're in great shape. Don't worry about it. And we stopped them 4 and out, got the ball back, and went right down and hit a 49-yard pass to win the game. And it was kind of like our kids still just expected to win that game no matter what. And that's when I knew, I go, we got a confident group here that is special. And so that was a big game for us. And I knew that Norte Vista was probably not going to lose another game the rest of the season because they're pretty good. And that's what happened. They went 9-1. And so it was a good win for us.
Yes, that looks like a really exciting game as far as the closeness. And yes, Norte Vista does play a very physical brand of football. Yeah. So we wrap out the preseason. San Jacinto 41-3, and now we get to league play. Okay. And I just know that, if you're a coach and you're starting the league, Great Oak, Marietta Valley, Vista, Marietta, Chaparral, you could be done.
Yeah.
By the first game of your league, you could be 100% done, and knowing you sitting at home. I haven't been with, I know Coach Robinson stepped down from Great Oak last year, right?
Yeah.
Or 2 years ago. So I haven't been as close to the Great Oak program since. How was the Great Oak game?
Well, we came into that game kind of recovered because our game with San Jacinto, we were down 5-6 starters in that game. We were playing JVs from the second quarter on because of injuries, and we kind of held some guys out because just like you said, in this league, you can't afford to lose a game. It could change your whole playoff brackets, everything. So the Great Oak game, they had a new coach, so there was unfamiliarity with what they did, and they're always tough kids. Great Oak kids are tough kids. They're smart. They're very how would you say? They're just tough, and so we had to feel them out a little bit, but we weren't playing real well in that first half, and we were still winning 10-6. And but we weren't playing very well. So we had a little halftime talk, a little motivational halftime talk, and came out in that second half and just turned it on. And but again, a lot tougher than the score looked like. Our defense was very solid, and so it may look like a blowout, but it really wasn't. We just took advantage of our opportunities, but what we had to have that game. I knew if for us to go to playoffs, for us to have a shot, you had to beat the Great Oak game, and we did. And of course, that's a nice rivalry. It's the first step in winning the city championship, and so we took care of business that night. And I knew right there, I go, okay, we got a shot at this thing.
Now, Coach, the next 3 games is what I would affectionately call Murderer's Row.
Yeah.
Let's briefly talk about each one. You have Marietta Valley at home, at Vista Marietta, which I think, for all intents and purposes, Vista Marietta really kind of started the whole home field crazy fan environment with the bleacher creatures. And then now, everyone, in Temecula area definitely has great fan support. Then you have at Vista Marietta, at Chaparral. What is 1 or 2 things you can take from each game? Because this really major season.
Yeah, the Marietta game was our homecoming game, and I didn't pick that. I would have never done that. But sometimes you just inherit what you get. And of course, they had 4 incredible skilled guys offensively that I knew, even as good as our defense was a bad matchup for us. Their strengths matched up against our weaknesses very well. And so for us to play in that game and bring it down to the last second field goal, which we messed up on a coverage, there's a lot that happened, but Marietta made that last play to put them in a position to kick that winning field goal. Obviously we didn't like losing that game, but we knew the fact that we could play to the last minute, had that game in hand to the last play of the game. We knew we were legit because, like I said, it was a bad matchup for us. And then that moved us into the Vista Marietta game, which was their homecoming, by the way. And so 2 years ago, when Temecula played at Vista Marietta was up 42-zip at halftime, and that was their homecoming then too. So there was a lot of motivation on our side. But the one thing that was interesting about Vista Marietta game was, again, football is a game of matchups. Their strength matched up with our strength very well. We are a run-stopping defense, and they were a running offense, and that's where it was a lower-scoring game. We made some plays. We gave up a touchdown on a punt return, a couple field goals, or one field goal, and then we gave up a pass play for a touchdown, which again was our weakness defensively. But offensively, we just stuck to our ground game, and really the ability to stop Vista Marietta from running the ball. They were in negative rushing yardage after 3 quarters is really what the difference was. And winning that game at their homecoming on their field was, for our kids, one of the greatest games they've ever experienced.
And for anybody watching this video, generally speaking, colleges, high schools, what either sometimes it's the activities director, sometimes it's the athletic director, but generally speaking, what you want to do is you want to schedule the homecoming game against an opponent you feel like you have an above average chance of
Yeah.
beating.
Yeah.
So your toughest opponent, you wouldn't schedule them for your homecoming. So
No.
when you lose your homecoming, that's kind of like a big thing, and that's what just happened with Temecula Valley with Vista Marietta.
And I was told that that's the first homecoming they've ever lost. Now, to give that credibility to our league, though, I was told every team in our league lost their homecoming this year. So probably the most competitive season the Southwest has ever had, where you had, Chaparral beating Marietta, Marietta beating us, and then Vista Marietta beating Marietta, and then Mesa beating Chaparral. And it was just an amazing competitive season. Every game was a barn burner. And so just kind of an interesting season to be able to be league champs in the type of season we had with the type of league we had was even extra special.
Truly, just truly that accomplishment within itself. It's hard to do. And sports is an emotional game. Period for pros, college athletes, or even high school athletes, but particular high school athletes. And so to win certain games, particularly on the road, those are big feats. So did you talk about Chaparral already?
No,
Okay.
no. And by beating Vista Marietta, we knew, okay, now we're in position. We got a shot at winning the Southwest League. Obviously we lost that Marietta game, but we're thinking, well, Vista could take care of them. It could be a 3-way tie. But before we do that, we had to beat the nemesis, Chaparral. And that was no easy task. Those they got some big boys, and they run the ball hard. And I knew Rick May was over there calling the offense, and so it was going to be a barn burner. And there's always that one game in the year where it doesn't even matter what your records are. That game can go either way, and the Chaparral game was that kind of game. There was a lot of records to be broken. Temecula hadn't beaten Chaparral in over 10, 15 years. The city championship was either between Chaparral, Great Oak for 10, 15 years. So everything was at stake in that game. And, it turned out to be obviously in our favor, and we did some good things. And it was just getting that monkey off their back. Of all those years of Chaparral just dominating Temecula, our kids were beyond ecstatic. And then we knew at that point, hey, we got to take care of our last game, and we're going to be Southwest League champs.
True indeed. True indeed. Huge, like those three games, very Merida Valley, at Vista Marietta, Chaparral. And then so you get through this, and lo and behold, you have Marietta Mesa, and you win that. And so as you're approaching, you're a coach who's been in the playoffs, for years with your teams. As you're approaching the playoffs, is there anything that you do differently preparing your team like a week before the playoffs? Do you keep everything the same, or do you step certain things up and intensify things?
Well, we have a system of what we do. I mean, even to the point of how much practice time we do, preseason, league, playoffs, all that stuff. So going into the Mesa game, we knew their offense was very explosive. Again, a bad matchup for us. The things that they did well were tough for us. But we came through that game healthy, which was a big factor, and clinching that league championship, and then knowing that we were going to go into the playoffs. And then that night, hearing that Vista had beaten Marietta, which gave us a tie for league title, but the number one seed because we beat Vista, was just an ecstatic night for the kids, knowing that we were going to go in the playoffs and probably have a really good draw in that first round. And as it turned out, that's exactly what happened.
So as we enter the playoffs, the first game is versus Valencia, and you guys really kind of hand it to them. But you get it's kind of I always call there's certain games that's a little sneaky. Like you kind of don't know enough about a team to say 100%. You know some, but you just. And I think the Carter High School game at Carter could have went either way. Talk to me about that game in particular, because once you won that game, I thought to myself, well, then come on. Like, it's got to, you played in the toughest, tightest game you're ever going to probably face, but you win it. So you get that confidence that we can play the close game, we can blow out Valencia, but we can win the close game as well. Tell me a little bit about that.
And that was something very special about this team, that we found different ways to win. We never panicked. We were down in like 7 of our 15 games for the year. And as we were down, I think 14 zip, type of situations, and we came back. But, we have a group of kids that still was understanding how to win and how to go about every game and take it serious. I think after the Valencia game, our kids were probably a bit overconfident. I knew that Carter was an explosive team. They put 50-something points on Elsinore. They had some athletes. They had some dudes, well coached. So I knew if we didn't come out playing like we normally would, this could be a game. And I never felt like we were in position to lose the game, because we were playing great defense most of the time. But our offense struggled here and there. Again, matchups. We weren't the most athletic team, so a lot of times matchups really gave us some problems. And when guys did certain things to us, it was hard for us. So we had to find other ways to win. And that was the thing about this team. It found a way to win. And that's when I knew we're winners. Because if you look at our playoff schedule, we fell behind in every single one of those games except the championship. But we found a way to win. We were down 14 zip at Carter, went in. I had a little halftime speech. I'm not going to go into details, but it was very motivating, and came out in the third quarter, tied the game, went ahead in overtime, and did what we needed to do to win that game. And so that put us obviously in the semifinals. And this was all new territory for not only our kids, but a lot of our coaches who coached at Temecula before I got there. They were already on vacation every year at this point in time. And I told them last year, don't schedule any vacations during playoff time, because we plan on winning and moving on. So it was all unfamiliar ground for a lot of these guys.
Yes, and I can imagine that, so you're learning and growing literally as a program with coaches and players. So we get West Ranch. That's a home game, playoff game. 31-28. What was there a pivotal play in the game that really helped you seal it?
Yeah, I mean there was quite a few. I know on that last drive there was a fourth down call where it was a PI on them, and we watched the film over and over. It was obviously a PI. The kid would have probably caught the ball without the PI, but that gave us life on that last drive that we went in. I felt like the West Ranch team was probably one of the best coached teams we played all year. They did what they did very well. They ran a very similar offense to us. Their quarterback was amazing. He was, I mean, we just could not get to that kid. Made great decisions. So, again, a matchup problem. But we had the game in hand for the most part. They came back. Some key penalties in that game extended some of their drives. But we're down, 28-24 with a minute 5 to go, and we never panicked. Marita and I looked at each other and go, how many times have we been here? With a minute to go, 80 yards, and we drove the length of the field and scored. And we were just like, well, let's do it again. And we did. And on that one drive, that one play, that fourth down was definitely a turning point. And then we ended up converting and winning that game. But to me, that was the most satisfying, outside of winning the championship, most satisfying win that I could say I've had in a long, long time.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So the championship game is against Cyprus. You win 28-21. Not so much the game, but can you just tell us just how you felt for the kids, for the school, for the community when the game was won? Because that's important. Can you talk about just how you felt winning it and just getting there a year before, and now you guys are champions?
Yeah, it was, again, quite a ride. That game, again, they were undefeated. Their running back was 6'3", 6'4", 225, leading rusher in Orange County. I mean, all these things. And honestly, we went in there with full confidence. Our kids expected to win this. And we did a phenomenal job keeping everything in check, game plan and all. But when the game was over, I remember coming off the sideline, and one of my old high school teammates was actually there, whose dad was my JV coach, who passed away a couple years ago. And he was the first one to come running up to me and hug me and said my dad would be proud right now, because when I won my first one, his dad was on my staff. And so we won a ring together. And after he came up to me, he's all, go join the kids, because, everybody's going crazy. And I said, no, I just want to sit right here and just observe and watch this. Because you see this program who was downtrodden. People told me, you're going to kill your career going over there and this and that. And to see all these kids, nobody transferred out. We had no transfers in. These were all homegrown kids. To see them go from 0-10 to CIF champs, I'll never forget just seeing the exhilaration on all their faces and the belief, and then to see it come to play. And we kept telling them, do what we ask, follow the process, and this will happen. And to see it happen, I mean, even the parents, I mean, it was phenomenal. It was a phenomenal thing.
Coach, just curious, when you win a championship, how long does the buzz last on the school campus? Because I imagine it's got to be a couple of weeks, right, where people just still have that energy.
Well, it's kind of funny because myself and Marita, we don't even teach at Temecula, so we're not on campus with them. My whole varsity staff are all walk-ons. We don't have our only on-staff coach is our JV head coach, and then 2 or 3 freshman coaches. Everyone else is walk-ons. So we didn't get to – so I have other coaches that tell me what's going on. And obviously the buzz was there, probably all the way through Christmas break. But Temecula has really turned around. So there's a lot of success going on at Temecula. But definitely the principal and all the people came up to me and just said it was one of the greatest things in the last 20 years. And so the confidence of the school, teachers are emailing me, telling me the kids are phenomenal, which brings me to our academics. They're off the charts. You know, we won back-to-back county academic championships for football. And with last year, we were the CIF academic champ. We beat Santa Margarita for that title, and we'll find out this year if we won it again. And so, you know, the teachers were loving the impact it has on the kids in the classroom, on campus, all those kinds of things. So, you know, the buzz lasts quite a while, quite a while.
All right, Coach. And last question: what would you say, or who would you say in this season, this championship season? Can you name like maybe 2 or 3 kids? I'm sure you could name the whole team, but 2 or 3 kids that really made the difference in just the mentality of your team and
Yeah.
causing success.
Well, you know, Brody Hughes and J. Max Jacobson got all the press. You know, J. Max is going to UCLA. He's a phenomenal defensive end, great kid. He has a great story that I always tell about him too, on how he ended up where he's at. And Brody Hughes, of course, our workhorse, does everything. But the guy to me that set the tone of I call the defense. So I'm the defense coordinator, and my boy Anson Pulsifer, what a phenomenal story. What a phenomenal person that kid is. He's going to Stanford. He's going to go play at Stanford. Probably the most complete all around, not just football player, but student athlete I've ever been around, and person. His family is phenomenal. I built the defense around him, and he ended up becoming, you know, the Inland Empire Defensive Player of the Year, all CIF Defensive Player of the Year. He did it all, and I have nothing but positives to say. If I coached another Anson Pulsifer in my career, I would be the most blessed coach around. He is a phenomenal person.
That's amazing. You definitely have. I would say you definitely have something that permeates within you that does bring out the best in people. And you know, just seeing, you know, clips and things from this season, I could tell your kids were having fun.
Yeah.
And that there was love there. And so, you know, beyond the sport, there's the sense of community that teams provide. And so, definitely, Coach, I just wanted to make sure we had time to chat about this season. I didn't get a chance to touch on, for time constraints, I didn't get a chance to touch on all the different accolades you won this year, and well-deserved. I feel like long overdue. And so, Coach, we just want to give a shout-out to IU Preps, to you and Temecula Valley and the greater community for what was done this year. And we hope that we can have a great chance to talk to you in the preseason when everything gets back to normal.
Absolutely. I appreciate everything you guys do. It's awesome. Keep it up. We're all having faith and hope that we'll get back on the field soon and see if we can do this all over again.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, Coach, IU Prep fans, this is Coach Bert Esposito, championship coach, Bert Esposito of Temecula Valley. Take care, guys. No recess.
Take care.